So welcome guys, in today's video we'll be learning about the different data types which you have in Python. So let's go. So these are basically the types which you have in Python. First we have numbers. So in numbers we have some sub data types which are integers, float and complex. We have dictionary, we have boolean, we have set and sequence type. Now again in sequence type we have some sub data types which are strings, list and tuple. And note, if you don't understand any of the data type in this video, don't worry, I'll be creating a separate video where I will be explaining a single data type in the whole video. Okay, so let's go. So first we'll learn what are strings. So they are a set of characters written inside double quotes or single quote. As you can see over here, I've written this hello world. Inside double quotes. Okay, so basically they are also characters, right? Okay, so now this is a string. So now we'll see what is the type function. So the type function returns the data type of the variable. Okay, so let's go to VS Code and let's see how to create strings and get the data type. So we'll create a string. So we say a is equal to hello. Now we'll just print out the type of a. Okay, so you know what the type function does, it just returns the type of the variable. So we'll run it. So now as you can see we have class string written over here, so which means that this belongs to the class string, so which is a string. Okay, so now let's see the next data type. The next data type we are having here is lists. So basically they are ordered collections which contain elements enclosed within square brackets. So as you can see over here, I have this variable which is holding the value, which is holding this list. So basically lists are enclosed within square brackets. So you have square brackets and inside you put in your data. So that data can be any data type. So now let's create a list. So let's create a list. So we say a is equal to 1, 2, 3. So now we have created a list. So how can we verify? So let's go ahead and print type a. So now as you can see it has returned class list. So basically we have created a list. So it basically has items enclosed within square brackets. Okay, let's move on. So now we'll be discussing tuple. They are ordered collections with elements enclosed within parentheses. So now note over here you have a parentheses and in lists you have square brackets. Okay, so now let's create this in VS Code. So now let's create a tuple. So say a is equal to, note we are using round brackets, not square brackets. Now let's simply go ahead and print out type a. As you can see you have class tuple. So this is basically a tuple which contains elements inside a round bracket. Okay, now let's go. The next data type is we have integers, float and complex. So basically they are sub data types of the number type, as you can see over here. So now integers are numbers with no decimal points, okay, like 1, 2, 3. Float are numbers with decimal points. Okay, so here you have decimal points and here you do not have decimal points. So like 1.5, 2.8, okay, those are what called float. Now we have complex. So you don't need to basically understand this, but I have still included this. So they have 2 real parts and 1 imaginary part. So now I'll show you all of these 3 types in VS Code. So now first I'll create an integer. As you can see it is class int, which is integer. Now I'll create a float value which is 2.8. Now I'll create a complex. Okay, so now you can basically use this to check your data type. I'm not going to do that again. And if you hover over here, you can see the data type. It is written float. And if you hover over this, you can see it's complex. So now float have decimal points, and in complex you have 2 real numbers and 1 imaginary part. Okay, which is actually J. Okay, so now let's go move on. So now we will be discussing what is a set. So basically they are unordered collections with elements enclosed within parentheses. So now basically you have to note that they are unordered. Okay, so now there is a typo over here, so it should have been curly braces. I've made a typo over here. You have curly braces in over here, right? Let's go to VS Code and do this. Now this is what it should like. So it should have been curly brackets. Okay, so now let's do this in VS Code. So now let's create a set. So A is equal to, you have to use curly braces, 1, 2, 3. So now we have basically created a set. So if you hover over here, you can see it belongs to the set class. Okay, so now basically you have elements inside curly braces and they are unordered. Okay, so I'll show you what you mean by unordered. So if I print out this set, okay, I have it printed over here. I'll just print it again. Okay, so now let's move on. So now we'll see what is a dictionary. So they are ordered collections with elements stored in the format key value pair. Okay, you have a key and then you have a value. Okay, so now let's do see this in VS Code. Let's create a dictionary. Say A is equal to, now over here you have to use curly braces. Okay, now you have to give the value. So the value is string. So say name, and then you have to use colon over here, and in that you have to write, so I'll write my name, and to separate the elements you use a comma. I'll write age, you use a colon, and I'll write 40. Okay, so basically this is a dictionary. If you hover over here, you can see it is a dictionary dict. Okay, so basically this is a key and it is storing this value. Age is a key which has this value. To separate the keys and values, you use semicolons, and to separate the elements you use a comma. Okay, so now let's see the last remaining data type. So now the last data type is Boolean. So they are either true or false. Okay, so this is very easy. So now let's jump to VS Code and understand this concept. So now let's create a Boolean. So A is equal to true, and here you have to make that make sure that the first character is uppercase. So A is equal to true, and you can say B is equal to false. Okay, so basically Boolean are either true or false. Okay, so you might not understand why you need it, but in further you will be needing that for conditional statements. So guys, if you have liked this video, do subscribe and like this video. It's me logging out.